Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Judith Wright and today we are going to make Jamaican fried dumplings. Some islanders, Caribbean islanders, West Indians call it bake. They have different names for it, but my parents are Jamaican, so it's Jamaican fried dumplings. I just want you to know that this is a simple recipe, but then it can be a little complicated because you kind of have to know what to feel for, and I'm going to walk you through that in today's video. So the ingredients are extremely basic. It's not a lot of ingredients. So I have baking powder, and this is aluminum free baking powder, and it is double acting. So if you see there, it's double acting, which means it works a lot faster. You want to pay attention to that when you're buying that. I've got salt, 2 cups of flour, sugar, and I have some butter, you know, like margarine spread. You want something soft though. So if you have like the hard sticks of butter, you want to keep it out for a little bit to make it a little bit softer. Water and a little bit of sugar. First things first, you have to, I repeat, have to have clean hands, because this is something that your hands are going to be in. Make sure that your nails are clean. Remove all your jewelry. You don't want bracelets and rings and things like that getting into your flour. That's a no-no. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my hands a good wash, you know, with a hand soap, not just water. We want to wash our hands. To be honest, I never measure anything when I'm making fried dumpling. This is just something that I've watched my mother do, and I've watched other Jamaican women do, and you just pick it up because you're always watching them. Or, you know, I think I've got it to a science where if you follow along, you should be able to get it just right. We're going to sift our flour. So I have my 2 cups of flour, and I'm going to go ahead and just put it in there. You can put it all in there. It's fine. And this is how we sift. Just want to knock it against the palm of your hand. And you sift it to get all the lumps out. So if you see this flour, it's lumpy there, but the flour in the bowl is nice and smooth and soft. It's more powdery, not as lumpy. So you want to go ahead and sift your flour. See that? The lumps in the alright. Okay, so now we have our sifted flour in the big bowl. We are going to go ahead and add the double acting baking powder. Now because it's double acting, you don't have to use as much. I never measure, but I'm going to do that today for you guys. Well, I do put a teaspoon in there, but I'm gonna let you know that you don't have to put a lot. I would say do 1 teaspoon of, let's see, actually I need to look at it. You know what? I would do 1.5. So do 1.5 teaspoon of the double acting baking powder. Okay, 1.5 teaspoon of double acting baking powder. And this is what's going to, I guess, make the dough rise and make it fluffy and soft. So we've got our baking powder in there. The next thing you need to add is salt. So I usually like to just put a little bit of salt in there, not too much. So I'll go ahead and put it in here first. You don't want to put it over your bowl, just in case you And I don't cook with a lot of salt, so you want to do like a half a teaspoon of salt for this. And that's just, and you just do it to your taste though. You don't cook with a lot of salt, so I just do like half a teaspoon of salt. Sugar is also your preference. And this is because some people don't like, you know, their dumplings to be too sweet, because then it tastes like festival. But some people like a little bit of sugar. I like a little sugar in my dumpling. So I use white sugar, and my husband, he does not like sugar, a lot of sugar in his dumpling. But I like sugar, and my daughter likes sugar in our dumpling. So I'm gonna do I'll do 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. Okay, and that's plenty because you don't want it to be too sweet. You just want like a hint of sweetness, not too sweet. The thing we're going to add is our margarine or soft butter spread, whatever you choose. This is a tablespoon. So I'm gonna, it's been out for just a little bit, so I'm gonna add that in there. Kind of chopped on the side, but that's okay. So I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons, and they're not very big tablespoons, as you can see. Yeah. And what this does is that this makes the fried dumplings a little soft on the inside. So now we're going to go in and work this butter in. Now, you want to work the butter in so that your dough is like, it gets a little bit crummy. Like you see how the dough is getting, the flour, I'm sorry, is getting a little lumpy. Yeah, you want those lumps. So you're just working the butter in so that you have those lumps in there. And you're just kind of working it in. Okay. Okay. There we go. Now, the next step is to rub it off. You just kind of rub your hands together. The next step is to add water. Now, this step can be a little tricky, but I'm gonna walk you through it. I'm gonna go ahead and measure the water so that I know how much to put for the recipe. So I have a cup. Let's start with a cup and see how far that brings us. So I have a cup of water. You don't want to use, and it looks like cloudy like that because the flour was in here. So we'll start with a cup. So what you want to do is you want to pour the water in very slow, okay? Since you're learning how to do it, you want to pour the water in very slow and then kind of stop and work the flour into the water. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pour some more water in there. Like I said, pour it in very slow. You can see it's still dry. You see that? So we gotta add some more water. The best way to do it is to do it slowly so that you don't put too much water in and you gradually make your dough. So now this dough is starting to come together because it's starting to get sticky. See the consistency? I gotta keep working it because you don't want your flour to get ruined, to get, you know. So you gotta keep working it, and then at this point you kind of roll it, knead it. You know, you get into that motion because this dough is actually coming together really good. And then you use your dough and you kind of wipe the bowl with it because you want to get all those ingredients in there. You want to get all that flour in there. And as you can see, our dough has come a far way. See that? Okay. It's real sticky. Just trying to get all that so I can get it in my dough. So this is feeling a little sticky to me. I'm not sure if you can see this. I think you can. You see how it's a little wet, and the consistency of it, it's still way too stretchy, and it's really sticking to my hands, which is not bad, but this is when you know you need to add a little bit more flour. And you want to always add sifted flour. So I guess rule of thumb would be to you know, have some extra sifted flour set to the side for you to add to your dough. Okay, so I'm just going to add just a little bit of flour on here. Just gonna sprinkle it, just like a little handful. Okay, just a little bit. And I'm gonna show you the difference, because you want the dough to be a little bit smoother. You don't want it to look too stretchy and be too sticky. Another thing is we have to get to a point where we stop needing this flour, because if you overwork the flour, it's also not good for fried dumplings. Okay? Just getting off that excess dough. I want all of that because I want to eat it. I want to fry it. Okay? So you could just wipe your bowl, get it all added in there. And you want it to easily come off your fingers. And that's how you kind of know the consistency is right too. Well, that's my test. When it starts coming off a little bit easier, then that's the consistency that you want your dough to be. If your dough is sticking to your hands too much, then you need to add more flour in there. Okay. I think I'm gonna stop here and show you the difference. So this dough, it's not as sticky and wet looking, and this is the consistency you want. Okay, you don't see it as much stretchy texture in there. It's a little bit smoother. And I'm just gonna do it one more knead. Okay. Flip it over. Create like a little ball here. Okay. And we're gonna let the dough rest. I just cover it up and we just let it rest. Okay, so it's been 20 minutes and we're going to go ahead and check on our resting flour, our resting dough. So we call it flour. I know people might call it dough, but this is what it looks like after it's been rested for 20 minutes. Right? So what we want to do is get some, you can use a plate if you want to. Some people put it right on their counters, but I just have some parchment paper here that I'm going to put on the counter. So you also want to go ahead and get your deep fryer going. I like to use a deep fryer because it's just faster, it's more efficient, and I use canola oil. I don't use expensive oil to fry dumpling. It doesn't make sense to use olive oil or anything like that, so I just use some cheap canola oil. As you can see, I use my deep fryer often for dumpling or fried fish, things like that, fried chicken. And I set my deep fryer at 300, okay? So you want to set it at 300. You don't want it to be too hot. To also make sure you have your pre-sifted flour in a separate bowl, because you're going to need to put it on your hands. Sometimes that dough is going to stick to your hands. You're going to need to put it on your hands so you can get that nice round dumpling shape that you're looking for. Here we go. So now we're going to go ahead and kind of work the dough a little bit. And as you can see, let me show you, this dough is so much smoother than before we put it to rest. You don't want to work it a lot, just a little bit. So you just want to get that. This is the motion that you're doing, okay? You're going in and stretching it out and kind of rolling it, okay? So this is the motion here, okay? And you kind of grabbing the dough a little bit loosely with your fingers, and you put in your palm in the back of your hand in there. So see if I can show you slowly, but it's kind of hard to show you slow because I have to be aggressive with the dough. I have to really work the dough a little bit, but not too much. Remember, not too much, just a little bit. And look, our dough is nice and smooth. Okay, this is the consistency you want. Okay, so now there's different ways that you can make your, make the dumplings. You either put it on your parchment paper and you can roll it out so that, actually, you can roll it out and keep rolling until it's long, and then you can cut it up into pieces and then break it off and make your balls. I don't do that, okay? I don't do that. What I do is I just break it off and I make my balls like that, okay? I don't roll it out. I think it's working the dough too much, but everyone does things different. So what I'm gonna do is take some of this flour and I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle it on my parchment paper, because this is where the ones that I form is gonna stay. I don't want them to stick to anything. And I'm also gonna put some of that powder on my hands. Right? Slightly powder my hands, and you can add powder as you need to. And I'm just going to pinch a piece of this dough, right? And because there's double acting baking powder in there, you don't want to make them too big. Well, you can make them as big as you want, actually. But for me, I would say this is like the size of, let's say, a golf ball, a little bit bigger than a golf ball. Yeah, a little bit bigger than a golf ball. That's the size that I'm making. And you can make them different sizes, but they're going to be frying at the same time, so you kind of want them to be the same size. So now you see that I'm using my hand and I'm going to be moving this dough against the against the thumb of my hand, the palm of my hand right here. And I'm using this hand, my thumb, to kind of work it, okay? So this is the motion here. All right? And they don't have to be perfect, but you kind of do want them to be round. So that one isn't bad. That's pretty good. I'm gonna pick a piece off. So this piece is a little bit small, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more to it. And it's some of them is not gonna be as smooth. You just kind of want to work it with that, okay? You're really using this part of your hand a lot, and your thumb. So you want to work it, and then you want to roll. And when you're rolling it against here, like that, okay? Okay, there we go. And that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and roll these. And if you get into like a little fold here, just kind of fold it in and then roll. Okay, so you can always save dough to fry for later. You know that. So if you wanted to, you could wrap up some of the dough and in saran wrap and put it in your refrigerator and fry it later. So you don't always have to fry all your dough the same day. I wouldn't keep the dough in the refrigerator longer than 2 days. I don't know. I've never done it, but I'm not saying you can't. I just wouldn't. So we got 2 left. And like I said, if you see a lot of folds in there, then you want to just kind of work it and smooth it out and then roll. Just like that. Make a little ball. Last one. So I saw some folds in there, so I'm just trying to smooth out those little folds. Another thing, do not put too much flour in your hands, because what will happen is it'll make the dough too dry and you won't be able to really work it and form it into a ball. The dough will become too dry, so don't put too much flour in your hands. Just lightly put flour in your hands. It's okay if it sticks to your hands a little bit, that's fine. As you can see, not a lot of dough is in my hands. Okay, that's a good consistency for your dough. Now it's time to put the dough into the deep fryer. I'm going to take my dough up. I'm going to give it a final roll. I want them to be round. Right? If that's not round, you give it just like a quick roll, not too much though. And you just want to place them in there, okay? Be very careful. But you want to quickly put all of them in there so they're all frying together. Make sure I have my nice round shape, and group them, kind of put them together, group them together. You want to let them fry kind of close. So you want to take them up, it's kind of flat on the bottom, so you just kind of want to make it a little circle, a little round, just a little bit. They should all be in the pot around the same time. Now I fry them in the deep fryer with the lid off because they will fry quickly. It doesn't take a long time for them to fry. Most of it is covered in the oil in a few minutes, about, I want to say maybe 4 minutes. I'm going to time it. I'll turn them. But you just want to go ahead and let them fry and wait for it to be a little bit golden on the sides, and then you can turn them so that the other side gets some color and it's even. So there it is, it's at 300. And as you can see, it's just a little sizzle. It's not bubbling like aggressively. You know, it's frying slowly, and that's what you want. You don't want to put them in there and then you see the color start changing really fast, then you know the oil is too hot. So when you put them in there, the color should change slowly. If you start getting color in your dumplings soon after you drop them in, that oil was way too hot for the dough. Okay, that's a little tip. See, they're getting some color, just a little bit of color. Use a fork, or you can use tongs, but I'm using a fork. And you don't want to poke them, you just want to gently turn them over on the other side, okay? Because you want them to fry evenly. And also slowly, okay? Go. So now that they're almost done, I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on it so that they can finish off. Okay, so I covered it up, and when you cover it up, of course, the oil is gonna get really hot. So when you take out the lid, just be careful, okay? And as you can see, they're getting some pretty good color. And you see how big they got? So depending on the type of deep fryer you have, you can fry it covered or uncovered. I start mine uncovered because I don't want the oil getting too hot, and then I finish it covered when I know that it's almost done, so I can get the right color on my dumplings. I'm just going to go ahead and turn them because a little bit of dumpling is not in the oil, and you want them to all have the same color. Okay. Just gently turn them. So like I said, this is my first time doing it kind of with the recipe, sort of, and when I say recipe, just like measuring things out and walking through it. But these dumplings are almost done. Look at that color. So I'm gonna put the lid back on for probably a minute or two, and then I can go ahead and take them out. All right. So they were in there for another, I would say, minute, not even 2 minutes. And we go ahead and take that off. Gonna turn off this deep fryer. And this is a good time to use your tongs, okay? Let me just kind of show you what we've got in there. They're nice and golden. That's the color you want them, okay? And they're golden all around. They all have the same color, all right? Don't squeeze the dumpling too much either. Take them out. Kind of shake off the oil. Off the oil. And if you have smaller ones, this is the time to take out the smaller ones first. So if you have some that, you know, you're like, oh, this one was kind of small, take out those smaller ones first because you don't want them getting too hard. The bigger ones can stay in the hot oil for a little bit longer, but you want to take the smaller ones out first if you have some that were a little bit smaller than others, okay? Putting it on the plate. All right. So where we have our fried dumpling. Okay, so this is our Jamaican fried dumpling. Here we have them. As you can see, some of them came out perfectly round, like this one here. Some of them cracked open a little bit, but with fried dumpling, that makes it taste even better. Some of them opened up a little bit, and that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and try one of these, okay? It's very, very hot. And I want you guys to see the inside of this fried dumpling. Let me bring the plate up to the camera. So you see how the inside is soft and the outside is nice and crunchy. You see that? And the inside is cooked. That's why you want to fry these dumplings nice and slow, because you don't want the outside to cook too fast and then the inside not cook. So that is a nice texture fried dumpling, because it's nice and crunchy on the outside and it's nice and soft on the inside. Okay. And now I'm gonna try my fried dumpling because it's hot and it's ready to eat. It's very, very hot. I can't even hold it, but it's good. Fried dumpling is the best when it's hot. See that? That's the consistency that you want. I mean, listen, some people like fried dumpling a little bit harder. Some people like hard, tough fried dumpling. So if you want a tough, hard fried dumpling, don't use any butter, or use less butter. If you want your fried dumplings to be a little bit more soft on the inside, then you use the butter, okay? Don't get bent out of shape if your fried dumpling come out looking like this. It's still gonna taste good. So you don't have to go for the perfect round one. See this dumpling? It's round, it's perfect, it's a perfect ball. Not all your dumplings that come out like this. Let me know in the comments below if you made fried dumpling and some of the tips that you have. What are some of the little things that you do, or how do you like your fried dumpling? Do you like it harder? Do you like them really soft? Do you like big fried dumpling, or do you like them to be small? In the comments below, yeah, give me your favorites. Like, how do you like your fried dumpling made? Some people make them flat instead of round. Do you like your fried dumpling round? Leave that in the comments below. I'm interested to see how you guys like your fried dumpling. And thanks so much for watching. Please like my video and subscribe to my channel. There's going to be lots of other videos coming. Thanks. Bye.